Hey everyone, Brandy here. In this Quilter on Fire video, you'll see quilters, artists, and creators who I bumped into along the way at the International Quilt Festival in Houston. We start off with the podcast lounge in the Oliso story space, and then I go mobile and try to catch a few vendors and finish up the podcast with the show organizers. Some of the artist and exhibit videos were way too long to add to this podcast episode, so they are separate videos on the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please go over to Quilter on Fire on YouTube to check out those videos and subscribe. We are in Houston for the IQF 2024, and I'm going to interview anyone who happens to walk by and say hello. These are the people, these are the stories, this is my community, and I'd love to share it with you. I'm Brandy, the Quilter on Fire, and I am in Houston, Texas with my podcast lounge. It's called the Oliso Story Space, and I'll be interviewing vendors and teachers and anyone who happens to walk by and say hi. We'll hear bits of their story, and you'll get a feel of what the show is all about. But first, I want to give a huge thank you to Oliso for hosting the Quilter on Fire podcast lounge each year at International Quilt Festival Houston and QuiltCon. Remember, you can watch this on the Quilter on Fire YouTube channel or listen in to the Quilter on Fire podcast. So let's take a look at who stopped by to say hello. Okay, I am here with an old friend. I'm so happy to see you again. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
I am Nina Clotfelter, and I travel and I teach basically free motion quilting, ruler work on your sewing machine, thread painting, really fun class that's called Chop It Like It's Hot.
Chop It Like It's Hot.
Oh, it's a great fun class. You learn all kinds of stuff. It's relaxed, you have fun, and you make a piece of art.
Yeah, so you come back here again and again to teach, and you're doing six workshops this year?
I'm doing 6 workshops this year.
So much fun. Well, what is your favorite thing about Festival Quilts in Houston?
I love meeting all the new quilters and where everybody's from, and everybody gets energized during class. I get energized during class when I teach. I love it.
Yeah.
So
this is preview. This is preview night, right?
This is preview night.
So is this your only chance to come really and enjoy the show?
No, I teach Monday through Friday.
Oh, good.
And then I get Saturday and Sunday to enjoy the show.
Good.
So the first year I didn't do that, so now I specify. I only teach until Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is mine.
Yeah, so much fun. Okay, so if people are watching right now and they're thinking, wow, she teaches at Houston all the time, where can I find her online?
My website is ninaquilts.com.
Okay, and where can they find you on Instagram?
Nina Clotfelter.
You better spell that out. You better spell it.
Let's do this.
Clotfelter, there we go.
Nina Clotfelter.
There we go. Nina, it's so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story.
Much. Great to see you again.
I have found another old friend. I met you a couple years ago here.
3 years ago, the first time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so introduce yourself and tell us what do you love about quilting?
I'm Haa Rosen, and I'm from Germany. So I used to live here for 5 years, and we met 2021, and then again in Phoenix. So it's exciting to see you again. And I love the people who are quilting because they are so nice and kind, and I love the long arm quilting, and I started teaching this in Germany, so I'm so excited.
Oh, that is so great. So where did you live in the US, and where do you live now in Germany?
I used to live in Mobile, Alabama, and there I met Nina, and now I'm living close to Koblenz at the river, right? And I started my small studio, and
Oh, it's so exciting. Well, I'm so happy to see you again.
Thank you,
and,
me too.
You know, I hope to see you again at another show coming up soon. So if people are watching right now and they want to know where can we find you on Instagram, give us the goods.
My Instagram name is Heron Quilts, like the bird, and quilts, and this is what you need to know, hopefully.
At Heron Quilts. Okay, we'll find you there.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I have Jenny K-Line in the booth. So nice to see you again. I have seen you year after year in Houston. So you're teaching again this year.
I am. I'm teaching for 4 days.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what you're teaching this year.
I am teaching free motion quilting on a domestic machine. I love it. I've got full classes. All my students are so enthusiastic. I'm in a Bernina room. It couldn't be better.
Yeah, and you do that so well. I saw you recently on Quilting Arts TV, and you did something really fun. Was it for the magazine or the TV? I don't know, but it was a beautiful square, and then you expanded on that.
Yes.
Tell us about that class a little bit.
Yes, so I don't teach that here, but I do teach that when I travel to teach and lecture. It's called Start with the Square, where you start with the square of like a larger scale print, and you deliberately don't fussy cut it, and then you kind of finish what you cut off and fill it with fills. Oh, it's so much fun, and it brings out creativity in the students that they didn't know they had.
Yeah, I love how you cater to the student who's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing or how to get started, and you give them that little
Oh gosh, that's
seed.
what it's all about.
It's like
it's
you
all
plant a
about,
seed.
yeah.
I love that.
Yes, that's why I call my my intro class, I call it Yes You Can Free Motion Quilt. So,
so great.
It's great fun.
So tell us a little bit, what's your favorite thing about Houston Festival?
Oh, the people.
Yeah.
The people, running into people. I call this the crossroads of the quilting world.
Yeah.
Because it is. Like today in class, I had a student from France, I've had a student from Canada, and then I have had students from the UK. And so it really is the quilting crossroads, and like the friend that you had from the state 2 states ago, you run into because she's a quilter, and you run into her at Houston, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's definitely my favorite part. Next to the quilts, of course.
Like
you know,
the quilts are
quilts.
amazing, of course.
Yes.
And you had something fun happen in class today. What happened?
I did. I had a student say, she said, you're the best teacher I've ever had. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And she said, and I've been coming to festival for 31 years.
Whoa, that is
like,
high praise.
Yeah, that's so high praise.
Oh,
and, you know, the biggest thing is just, you really do see the students blossom. You know that. You're a teacher. Yeah. You see them coming. I did feathers today, and it's like, oh, I can't do feathers. And you see, like, at the end of the day, everybody's doing feathers, and they're good feathers. And it's just, they just need some instruction, and they're on their way.
Yeah, and isn't it delightful when they're like, oh, I can actually do this?
I know, yeah. I know. And they look at what they've done, and they go, oh, that's actually pretty good. I know, that's just so much fun. I love that part.
Okay, so Jenny, if people want to find you online, where can they find you?
Jenny, quiltskipper.com.
Quiltskipper.com.
Like, envision me skipping.
Oh, okay.
Quiltskipper.com, and my email is jenny@quiltskipper.com.
Okay, so if guilds want to book you, they can contact you there. And what about Instagram? What's your handle?
Jenny_quiltskipper.
Awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge today.
Yeah, good to see you again.
You too. We have a visitor in the podcast lounge. I'm so happy to meet you. So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
Okay, Brandy, thanks so much. My name's Patty Sliney, and I am one of the Handy Quilter National Educators. So it's my first time to be able to come to Houston Quilt Festival. I've been a quilter for like 40 years, and I've never been.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really excited to be able to work in the booth at Handy Quilter, but also get out and get around and see everybody. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your quilting. What's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing is probably combining traditional with modern, to have a traditional quilts with a modern twist.
Yeah.
So I might make something traditional, but I'll do it with all K-facet fabrics.
Yeah, fun.
So I really like that kind of a twist on a traditional type of quilting.
Yeah, and we are only in preview night, so have you even had a chance to see the quilts yet?
Oh yeah, I walked the whole quilt show.
Good.
I've got pictures of all the winners and a bunch of other really cool quilts, so it's just phenomenal. The amount of talent in that room is mind-boggling.
I know. So what's been your favorite part of the show so far?
I think being able to say hi to a lot of the people like yourself, people that I know in a virtual way, but to be able to meet them personally, put kind of a face to a name and be able to introduce myself. I know a lot of people because I'm the social media online face for Handy Quilters, so I'm getting to see some of those people that I talk to on Facebook and Instagram, so that's really been wonderful to meet
well,
people.
let's tell everybody where they can find Handy Quilter online.
Oh, sure. Well, Handy Quilter, you can find us at handyquilter.com. And for those of you that have the robotic system, you can go to prostitcher.com, which is our robotic system. We're there also, and then we have a big social media presence. So we have Facebook groups, Handy Quilter Community, Pro Stitcher, Quilters is our other group. So, come say hi to us. We're there to support you.
Lots of fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Patty, thanks so much for stopping by the Podcast Lounge.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has just been such a pleasure. You're such a fabulous podcaster. I love your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for listening.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Okay, here we are in the Podcast Lounge. I have a very good friend, so introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing here this year.
Okay, very good. My name is Colleen Carlson. I come from Grand Forks, North Dakota, and I am very happy to be here just celebrating quilting at the quilting show. I am lucky enough to have a couple of quilts in the show, and gosh, if you have the chance, you should get to Houston and you should see them. Yeah. I have a small quilt in abstract, and I also have a quilt in the Cherrywood Challenge.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, I love the Cherrywood Challenge. It's always so great every year. Yeah. So what's your favorite part about the Houston show?
I think it is walking around and seeing all of the beautiful original design quilts, where we get to see fresh stuff that you don't see any other way but to come and take a look at the show. Yeah.
Now you are my friend because we are both quilt judges, very proud to be quilt judges. But I want to talk a little bit about your recent lecture at QuiltCon. So what did you talk about?
Okay, I had a lot of fun. I had a lecture called Back Talk. And for that lecture, I talked about all things about the back of the quilt. And of course, certainly durability is an issue, but also looked at some creative kinds of topics as well. And I was very excited to get a lot of really great feedback from that. And I have given that lecture as a Zoom lecture several times since because of QuiltCon. So I have a website. It is quiltjudgecolleen.com. I also have an Instagram called RX Quilt, and you can find me from either place.
Yeah, so, it was such a great lecture. So if you're a member of a guild or you're watching right now, I really encourage you to go check out her Instagram and maybe send you a private message, right?
Certainly, yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, thanks. It's always great to see you, Brandy.
Here we are. I've got a new visitor in the Podcast Lounge. So introduce yourself and tell us what kind of quilting you like to do.
Hello everyone, my name is Darcy Lewis. I'm the owner of Beautiful Textiles. We are a fabric shop that specializes in garment fabrics, but also carries a reasonable selection of quilting fabrics. I started sewing when I was 4, started winning awards for it when I was 8 in my local 4-H group and at State Fair, and have developed a love of sewing and garment sewing, and that's segued into quilting ever since.
Yeah. So tell me what you're doing at the show. Are you a teacher? Did you enter the show? Or are you here just to enjoy the show?
I came here for Quilt Market to buy for my show, and I stayed on for the festival, and I am so excited to say that I actually have a quilt in the show this year, which is the first year I have entered a Houston Quilt Show, and I was so honored to be selected in my first year. This was my big year for entering shows, and so earlier this year I entered 2 pieces in the Hoffman show, which are now on tour around the country.
Wow.
I have one that was on display at the National Quilt Museum for the first half of this year and is now on tour with the AQS shows, and I have one here.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So what's been your favorite part of the show?
My favorite part of the show is always the inspiration I get from seeing all the amazing, not just the incredible quilt, but also all of the things that people wear and the bags they do. Like, everybody comes trotting out their favorite projects, the things that they just made to show off to everybody else, and I love seeing that.
Yeah. So if people are thinking, okay, we want to get a hold of you, we want to find out where you are, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Textiles. You can also find me on Facebook at Beautiful Textiles, or on my artist page, Darcy Lewis Designs. I also have a blog that you can find at darcylewisdesign.blogspot.com.
Okay. Well, it was really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for stopping by the Podcast Lounge.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Okay, I have someone very special in the Podcast Lounge right now. I'm so happy to meet you in person. Tell us your name.
My name is Christina Arnao.
And you are from Spain?
Yes, I am.
Where do you live in Spain?
I live in Sevilla, the south of Spain.
And the reason I'm so excited to meet you is because you recently had an article in Quilting Arts magazine.
Yes, it's my first time, with an article in Quilting Arts, and I've been a subscriber since 2008, and this is like a dream come true. So it's really. Honestly, for me, Quilting Arts is like the Bible.
Oh, well, I was so happy to see your name come across the page. So can you tell us a little bit about the article that you wrote?
Well, the name of the article is Procreate for Quilting and for Quilters. And this is the thing, I use the iPad all the time for almost everything in what I do. And Procreate is an app for iPad, and it's my number one app as far as drawing, designing. So in that article, I explain the readers how to use the app to design their own quilting, their own quilts, and also to audition quilting motifs.
Yeah, it's such a great article because it takes us a little bit into the technology that sometimes we're afraid of, right? So it gives us all those tidbits.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
yes.
Can you give us a little tip? You know, what would be your one tip if you were going to tell people who are kind of thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I want to dive into my iPad? What would be a tip to get them started?
I mean, people are afraid of making mistakes, or they think that the iPad is going to explode, and it doesn't. You know, there is, and from time to time, when I'm like, okay, this, you know, I'm stuck in this, you know, screen, and I don't know what to do. You know what I do? I switch off the iPad and switch it on again, and it works.
Yeah.
So when nothing works, switch it off.
Yeah. So it's good. It's nice to dive into some technology and try something new. I guess your message here is really just go for it. Just give it a try, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Because you have nothing to lose, and you know, quite often, for instance, I'm going back to Spain tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I have a layover in Charlotte, and I will have a long layover in Madrid.
Yeah.
Those long hours, you know, kill me. I have the iPad in my backpack. So I can easily work with my iPad or simply have fun.
Yeah, you just pull it out and start designing something, right?
That's right, and on the plane as well.
Yeah, that is so great. So if someone's watching the YouTube video right now, or they're listening to the podcast and they're thinking, I want to follow you, I want to think of trying my iPad or doing some Procreate, where can they find you online?
All right, if they look for my name,
Christina
Arnao, they will find my Instagram account and my website. Because if I have to spell it, it will take like 10 minutes.
It's hard to spell. Yeah, so they can find you online, and I'll zoom in on that for everybody.
Yes.
Okay, so they can find you there online. Well, it was so nice of you to stop by the podcast lounge. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your story.
Thank you very much. It's been, you know, I'm so excited to be here. Well, I've been teaching, you know, all week.
Yeah.
So
oh, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit, actually, before we go, tell us a little bit about what you've been teaching here.
Well, I am a long arm machine quilter, so I've been teaching on the long arm.
Yeah.
But also, I also did a raw edge applique on the domestic sewing machine, and I gave 2 lectures. One was a trunk show, and the other one is artificial intelligence for quilters.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like people are afraid. No, they are stealing from us, and there is so much you can do thanks to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so
really,
like Chat
really.
GPT and AI and things
That's
like
right,
that.
That's right, absolutely.
Interesting.
So, you know, people were thrilled about that lecture, really.
Yeah, when it's a little bit scary, people want to learn about it so they can educate themselves, right? That's great.
Yes.
Well, thanks again for stopping by. It was so nice to meet you in person.
You know, it's my pleasure as well.
We are in the Oliso story space in the podcast lounge, and I have come across Robbie Joy Eko. I'm so glad to welcome you to the booth. So how are you doing?
I'm fine. I would shop till I've dropped. So
Yeah. I have been following you for decades and excited about everything that you do. So tell us a little bit about why you're here at the show this year.
Well, I'm here to shop.
Yes.
And I'm here to see all the new stuff.
Yeah.
And really a lot of it is just to see a lot of my friends that I don't see most of the year. We just kind of meet here.
Yeah.
And see each other and to see the quilts. It's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it for months before I come.
Yeah,
so
me too. And you have a quilt in the show this year, so tell us all about it.
Well, it's a fused quilt because most of my quilts are, my quilts are fused. I hand dyed the fabric.
Yeah.
And then it's very detailed. It's little tiny, it's bands of color, but little tiny shapes. Mm-hmm. And I stitched over the edges, and the colors I made in the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's fuchsia, turquoise, orange, maybe yellow, and it is really loud and obnoxious. It's just really I think, but other people have said it's not. But it's just kind of.
Yeah, but sometimes that's what we love in a quilt, is something that really stands out.
And when I made it, so I made it in the beginning of the pandemic, and I did very careful stitching, and then I was afraid to quilt it because I hadn't quilted anything for a while, and I didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
So I put it away, and then earlier this year, I quilted it for the deadline for here, and I pulled it out, and I went, I don't know how I'm going to quilt the orange, where the orange hits the purple, your eyes won't. So I thought maybe I'll have to quilt this in a dark room.
Yeah.
But somehow I managed to just concentrate and do it. So
you are a long-time teacher and speaker, and you have taught at this show before. So what kind of things do you teach to the quilting world?
Well, right now I'm not quilt teaching as much. I taught a couple weeks ago. I teach fused quilts, and which, if you know my quilt, you know what they look like.
I do.
And I teach free motion quilting on domestic machines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's more achievable to the people who don't have a long arm and things like that.
Yeah,
all that.
Because I do everything in a very tiny detail.
Yeah.
So I'm not worrying about the whole quilt. I'm worrying about maybe this much at a time, maybe
yeah,
that much.
Yeah. Well, it is so nice to have you stop by the podcast.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a nice place for me to rest my
aren't these comfy chairs?
They are comfy.
I know. We are in the Oliso booth at International Quilt Festival in Houston 2024, and I am so excited. We have an appearance here by someone who is integral. In fact, Assan Alipur, you are the inventor, the founder. What is your title at Oliso?
I think the Chief Human Officer.
The Chief Human Officer. This is the man who created the product that is making waves in the industry. So can you tell us a little bit about your story of how it all began?
Well, I've always been around my mom and my aunt and everything, and then every time they're doing something, I try to figure out a way so that it's easier for them. So pressing iron was one of them, and this had kind of stuck with me. So at school, I was doing product design at Stanford, and for one of the classes, they said do something in a product that you don't know nothing about, and I said I pick irons. I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So this actually, the beginning of this came out of that program, out of a class that I was doing in that program.
Wow, and it was such a great sort of prompt for you, because not only did you have to pick something that's kind of a regular item that you didn't know anything about, you had to do something innovative, right?
Yes.
So what did you do with this iron?
Yeah, so I took the iron, and then basically when you look at it, there are a lot of strong emotions around irons. It's kind of like a love and hate relationship. And a lot of people have also a lot of stories about burning their hands, or burning, a lot of negative thoughts and everything. So I kind of looked at the whole process and just realized the whole action of lifting the iron and putting it doesn't actually help press the clothes.
Yeah.
It's completely unnecessary. So with the lifting mechanism, the auto lift, I kind of eliminated that whole process. So we've designed something that it was very fun to use. It also, what was really special about it, created this emotional relationship. Iron is probably the least loved appliance, but yet everybody who touches an Oliso iron, they have a smile on their face. And what's really nice is that it's not a gimmick. The more they use it, the more they love it. That was the beginning, and it was really the reaction of people, that energy to the product, that drove me to continue. That was my juice.
Yeah, and I think another thing about the lifting mechanism is that it helps with ergonomics too, right? It's easy on the wrists and hands.
Absolutely, ergonomics, safety, and then one of the nice things is that we always started to be very close with the community, and I'm always listening, and a lot of the innovations and a lot of changes and innovation that this product's gone through is basically based on feedback. They don't like short cords. Let's make it 12 cords. Why the quilting is all about color and innovation. So we started doing that, and now we're working with artists in the industry to create these limited editions that are just wonderful. They wanted a small iron, so we made one for them.
The mini iron is my favorite. I'm an art quilter, so I make small things.
Wonderful.
So the project iron is perfect for me.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about some of the influencers, because not only do you have an iron that just really works well, it has a lot of great qualities about it, but you're connecting with influencers all over the industry. So here's where we can give a little shout out to your team. Let's talk about the people who make it happen.
Oh my God, yes. So, I mean, who do I start with?
My favorite, Michelle.
Michelle.
I have to say I love them all, but Michelle is just such a good friend.
Well, Michelle is wonderful. You know, she is basically our community leader and our connection to the industry and everything, to the people, to all the artists.
Yeah.
So Michelle is, what can I say? She is really kind of like at the center of it all.
Yeah.
You know, then we have Steve Jones, who's been in this industry for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now he's been working with us for the last 5-6 years. He's a jewel, and he's really kind of like our general manager, and he oversees the marketing and sales and all the company operations. We have Mark McWay, who is an old friend of mine who's helped us, and he's also in charge of international sales and everything. But we have an excellent team of customer service people whose directive is that anybody calls, this is your aunt or your mom. They need to hang up happy. So we have an excellent team in our operations, and also in our engineering team, Joe Strecker, Claudio Braza. You know, it's all like too many.
You got such a great team.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that's really wonderful about this whole company is that if someone comes by the booth and they say, oh, I dropped my iron, something happened to it, you have this great 3-year, it's just a wonderful policy.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know, we're building a relationship, and everybody has to be happy. And we're maintaining a dialogue. This is not about us and our gift. This is a dialogue. So it's about the community dialogue, and I really truly mean that. And if something's not right with a product, if somebody's not happy, I don't sleep well. So that's our commitment.
Yeah, and so you are the lead in this company. You are in such a wonderful leadership sort of position that you have an amazing team. You don't actually have to be at every single show, but I know that this is a show. You haven't been to a couple, right?
Yes.
What do you think of what Michelle has done in this booth?
Oh, I am just blown away. And you know, my motto in my leadership is always to make myself obsolete. And I've been able to do that, so I kind of like sit back now, and I have the luxury to like really focus on the future innovations and technologies for the company. But I have a wonderful team. I come here, I'm all relaxed. Trust me, I mean, we've been coming to this show for 15-20 years. And we used to come, and it was a very small booth with our very first product, but it was love at first sight, and it was mutual with the quilters. So
great. Okay, so I want to end on a thank you, actually, because community is so important to Oliso, and that is the reason I am here. We're in this booth space. It says Oliso Story Space. You share the stories of quilters. I'm talking to people walking by, so I want to give you a big thank you for having me, and just being such a big part of the community.
Yeah, it's an honor and it's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, thanks for sharing part of your story today.
Yes, thank you so much.
With Marita Will. I'm so excited to be here in the Oliso booth with her again. So what kind of things are you doing today in the Oliso booth?
So basically we are just showing the MP3 irons, and just kind of helping around with make and take, just answering questions, and helping people to find the perfect iron and the perfect color, what they want.
Yeah, and Michelle did something really fun with a whole bunch of creators. So tell us a little bit about yours. You adorned this bag.
Yes, so Michelle sent me a bunch of wool and thread, and she said, just be free and do whatever you want. And my vibe is very like colorful and just, out of the ordinary, I guess. So, I used all the wool and, sequin, and this is all like, the whole thing is sequin. Some silk du peony and just beads, and that's my little carry.
A lot of color, a lot of texture. It looks like you had a lot of fun.
Oh, I did.
Okay,
yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do in quilting.
So I think I evolved from being a very traditional, like prints all the time, maximalist, to now the quilts that I enter for show, they're a little more, geometrical and modern.
Okay.
But when I'm home, snuggling on the couch, I just love all my little, scrappiness and floral. And Anna Maria is my favorite designer.
Anna Maria Perry.
Yes.
Oh, love her.
So it's just mostly that. So it kind of like I like everything, but It depends too. Like I can spend a lot of time doing something very precise, and then the next thing is like an improv. So I don't know if I have a style, to be honest.
No, well, that's okay. Sometimes a Jill of all trades is the best thing because you're trying everything and finding out what you love, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if people are listening right now and they want to find you on social media or Instagram or whatever, where are you?
So I am at Marita Will Design. So it's Marisa and then Wilhelmi Designs. I know it's a long thing. I should change. So I actually have Sour Patch Quilter as, my secret thing. But,
that's a really cute name. Is that because of the candy?
No, it's because, sometimes.
Oh, you got a little attitude?
Yes, so I have that, but eventually I'll post there. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, Marita Will Designs, it's my main one.
Awesome.
So
thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge.
Thank you so much.
Nice to hear a bit of your story.
Thank you so much.
I have Bernina in the booth. Adrienne Gallagher, thank you for stopping by.
I saw a friendly face, I had to stop.
Yeah, so Adrienne has been my educational guru for years now. And so what is your role now at Bernina?
Well, now I'm the general manager at Bernina Canada.
Oh, so what does that mean? What kind of things do you have to do?
It means I'm in control of everything. No.
Control the world.
No, it just means I get to lead a team of great people and take care of our Bernina dealers and Bernina customers in a new way, which is really great.
It's so great. And I understand that Bernina has a great big new machine that's awesome this year. Tell me a little bit about it.
We revealed our new flagship machine, the Bernina B990.
Yeah.
And it does everything except cook dinner. Next firmware update will do that. But yeah, it quilts, it embroiders, it has a laser, it has a huge hoop, it does quilting in the hoop. We just haven't even explored all of the facets of it. So come see it in the booth if you have time.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I saw it for the first time recently when I was in the UK actually at the Knitting and Stitching show. And I was like, I haven't even seen this baby yet. It was awesome.
It's great.
So so tell me a little bit about what you're doing at this show.
So I'm visiting this show just to see how Bernina handles their corporate booth, so we can sort of copy that flavor and Canadianize it for our upcoming show, Quilt Canada.
Yeah.
And Bernina has business meetings as well too, so I had a really scary business meeting and it went just fine.
Oh,
it's all good.
Yeah. And if you're Canadian or if you're listening and you're thinking you want to come to the Canadian show, that happens every June in Canada, right?
Yes.
So you can come up there. And where is it going to be this year?
This year it's in our backyard, Toronto. So come and see us there. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the
Thanks
booth.
for talking to me. See you next time. Bye.
I found another Canadian. So tell us your name and how long you've been quilting.
Okay. My name is Judy Garden. I'm from Cobourg, Ontario. I have been quilting since we lived in California.
Oh, okay.
From 1998, 99. And then, moving around and stuff, I've kept the quilting business going.
Yeah, I'm so glad you stopped by the podcast lounge because you have a quilt in the show.
I do.
Yeah.
A quilt that I've been working on, I guess I could say 6 years.
6 years, wow. So tell us a story about it.
Right, so my sister and I went on a trip to Holland, which is where we're from. And we went to a town called Utrecht, and they had this gorgeous quilt store called Carol Cox Quilts.
Oh, wow.
And I found this gorgeous blue and white fabric, and everybody knows me as a blue and white quilter.
Okay.
But then I thought it was time to think outside the box, so I decided to go with red and white. And the fabric I found had both a red variation and a white variation. So there were red flowers in this quilt, and there are white flowers fussy cut out of that fabric.
Yeah.
So I got home, and I'd been sitting on this photograph I had taken a stone step outside a hotel in Charleston.
Yeah.
And I took a rubbing with some charcoal and tissue paper and stuff, and I took that in my design book.
Yeah, what a
so
great idea.
I had drawn variations of that design onto this fabric, whatever, and so this was the result of that top
so
border.
let me just show. I'm going to try to show the camera so you can see the quilt that is actually in the show. Get a good little glimpse of it. So this is all intricate handwork. So you said that you started from the border and you moved
from
in.
the border. And normally when I design a quilt, I start from the inside out.
Yeah.
Because the center you have your design for the measurement, and then you work your way around that, including your whatever. But I had this honking great border.
Yeah.
And I sat with that for years, literally years, trying to figure out how do I do that middle.
Yeah.
And I finally, about a year and a half ago, I thought, okay, you know what, it's time to finish this quilt. This is ridiculous. It's been sitting here for so long. even COVID didn't help. I thought, perfect time, you'd think, right, to finish that quilt, but no, didn't happen. I did other stuff. I got into painting and other things, and so, like I said, a year and a half ago, I thought, it was time to really finish this quilt. So I started working on a design for the center, and it took me about 3 or 4 tries with red marker, graph paper, just trying to figure out something that would appeal to me. Yeah. And of course, taking a photograph is what determines, right? Looking at it from sitting on a table is not the same as looking at a photograph. And so I finally figured out that's the one that I wanted to do. Had to work around that, and so it was all hand-pieced, hand-appliqued, hand-embroidered.
Wow. And the machine quilting is incredible as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
That was done on my long arm.
So how did it feel when you found out it got into the show?
I was excited. I was really excited because you never really know. Because jurying a show is so subjective. I did it once for Quilt Canada many, many years ago. Yeah. There were 3 of us to jury the quilts. Yeah. The most difficult job I've ever done.
It's hard to tell from a photo, isn't it?
It's really hard, and some people don't take good photographs. Yeah. It's all about the photography, and so the judges and I, some of the pictures, some of the quilts that we had seen out of photographs, we immediately discarded because the quality was so bad, and we thought, you know what, and then you have to try and figure out which ones you want to pick. Yeah. And for a show this size, I can't even imagine the number of quilts that were entered, first of all. Yeah. And so to have been chosen to hand quilt is
really so exciting. Great. So we got some Canadian representation and some red and white quilt as well,
I know, right?
which feels very Canadian.
Very Canadian.
Well, congratulations on getting in the show. And have you had some fun milling around your quilt? Have you heard anything anyone said?
Oh my God, I've had people take pictures of it with me.
Oh, good.
And there's a group standing there, and they're oohing and awing, trying to figure out how it's working. And I thought, should I say something or should I not say something? And I thought, that's my quilt.
Oh,
and they all went,
sweet.
It is really. Can I take a picture? And I thought, oh my God, and what are they going to do with that picture?
They're just going to enjoy it.
They're going to enjoy it. They're going to look at that and say,
I met the actual quilter.
I know.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting because it's always fun to have other people. I know that I love my quilt, and my friends and my family love that quilt. Yeah. But for other quilters to say, wow, that is amazing, is such a
cool. It is amazing. I can echo that sentiment. And so is there somewhere online where you have a presence, like Instagram or Facebook?
I'm on Instagram, but only just started on Instagram with my paintings rather than my quilts.
Great. Well, let us know where it is and people can go and check it out.
It's jude.garden.
Jude.garden.
I think that's it.
Yeah, well, look it up. You can Google it, jude.garden, and you can find it.
That's right.
Oh, well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge.
Thanks for having me sit in this chair with you. It's fun.
My pleasure. I have Judy Alborn in the podcast lounge today, and she was on Quilting Arts TV this season, which just came out digitally, and it comes out on PBS in November. So I'm so happy to have you stop by. Tell me, what are you doing here? Are you just enjoying the show?
I love Quilt Festival, and I come every year, so I wouldn't miss it no matter what. Yeah. But I happen to have 2 quilts in the show this year, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so describe it to us.
So one is actually one that I brought it to the set for Quilting Arts. I had it hanging in the back of the studio during the filming on. That was the one on flower applique. Okay. So that quilt is in the Info Bloom exhibit. Yeah. And it is a series of 9 different pieces that I then sewed together, but they all have repetitive pattern backgrounds that I designed with the flowers appliqued on top. Yeah. So that one is in, and then I also have a quilt in the tactile architecture exhibit.
Oh, tactile architecture. Okay.
Yeah, but it was like, so one of my other episodes on Quilting Arts was the travel thing. So this was a series of travel pieces that I did for a trip that I took to New Orleans. Okay. And so it's the name of the quilt is Sightseeing in New Orleans, and it's a lot of iconic images from New Orleans, from photos that I took.
And a cafe and things like that.
Yeah, and then put them on one, put them on a backing fabric and made a quilt out of them. Yeah. Because I really love those kind of quilts, and I really wanted to get a piece in. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really fun.
So fun. So how did it feel when you heard that not one, but two
I know. No, it was really exciting because I've entered quilts, it takes a little while. I've entered a lot in the past that haven't gotten in, and it's like when you finally get in a show, you're like, oh my God, it's so exciting. I finally got in a show, and now I had a flower quilt in last year, and I had, they had in celebration of life exhibit the year before, and I had a quilt in that. So this is my 3rd year in a row to have quilts in the show. Yeah, and then I not just 1 but 2 this year. So that's really exciting.
Well, congratulations on 2 quilts in the show and your wonderful appearance on Quilting Arts TV.
Thank you.
One more thing before we go. If people are interested in finding you online, where can they go?
JudithAlborn.com is my website.
Alborn, spell that for us just so people can find it.
AHLBORN.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, this was fun.
Nice to have you. I love it when people stop by who are just out to enjoy the show. So tell me your name.
Tamara Leber.
Tamara, and where are you from?
Golden, Colorado.
Golden, Colorado. I love Golden, Colorado. That's where we film Quilting Arts TV.
Yes.
Now tell me a little bit about what you love to do when it comes to quilting.
Well, I like to do everything, really. Mostly art quilting, and I love to use all kinds of different fabrics, not just cotton. And so silk, wool, and I make something called silk fusion that I love to use in my art quilts, and Nuno felting. So that's
Nuno felting. I love that.
Yes, they're both just fabulous.
Oh my gosh,
actually.
My arms were so sore the first time I tried them. We did pool noodles, and the next day I couldn't even move my body. But,
great exercise.
And I know that you have been on Quilting Arts TV in the past. So tell us about that appearance.
Yes, it was quite a while ago, and I can't remember the exact year.
Yeah, that's okay. What did you teach there?
Silk fusion. So
silk fusion. Okay.
Yes, it's just how to make a silk fabric out of raw silk fibers.
Cool.
They're just luscious colors.
So are you using some kind of? Tell us a little bit about the process.
Well, with silk you have to add like a fabric medium. It's kind of like glue, so it holds all the fibers together. But when you use wool, you rub them together and they just attach.
Yeah,
it's like your hair. It's got little tentacles on it, and then embellishing. You can put lots of other fun. Actually, I mix the wool and the silk often.
Oh, that sounds like a really fun process.
Yeah, and it's fun to do it. Mix it with cotton. And just more options.
So, what's been your favorite part of the Houston show?
Well, this is my first time.
Is it?
So, all of it really.
Yeah,
but you watch a little bit, go look at some of the quilts and get inspired, and then you're like, oh, I gotta go get something to make. You just get so excited. You just want to make.
There's good inspiration here, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge. It's so nice to have you.
Me.
I'm so excited. I have Sarah Ruiz in the podcast lounge. So how have you been doing? It's
good.
Nice to see you
Very
again.
good. Yeah, good to see you.
Are you here because you have something in the show? Or are you teaching? Or are you here just to enjoy?
Mostly to enjoy. I live in Houston, so I get to come every year. I do have a quilt in the show, although funnily enough, it was also in the show last year.
Oh.
So it was in the show last year. I entered in the Houston Rodeo this year, and then this year they have an exhibit that is winners from the Houston Rodeo. So it came back as part of that.
Oh, that's well. Describe the quilt to us.
It's one that I made a few years ago. It is I wanted to play with fan and New York Beauty and that style of block, so it has a lot of curves. It's a dark gray background with like white, orange, red, blue. So and it's in the rodeo exhibit. So I haven't been over there yet, so I got to go find it.
You got to go find it and get your picture in front of it. And
yes.
I'm sure people will come up and say, "Is this your quilt?"
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that's so fun. And you've brought a couple friends with you.
Yes, and I think they wandered off to go find some more booths. But yeah, I have a friend of mine that I don't know. I've lost track of numbers. This is probably our 6th or 7th year of coming together.
Oh, that's so much. Well, it's so nice to see you again. And if people want to find you online, where can they go?
I'm really active on Instagram. My Instagram is by Sarah Ruiz.
Right, and it's changed recently, right?
About a year ago.
So by Sarah Ruiz, and it's Ruiz or Z if you're in the States, right? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
That sounds good. So people can find you there. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge.
It was great to see you. I'm glad I came across you.
We have Tina Craig in the Oliso Story Space. Thank you for stopping by the podcast lounge.
It's always good to see you, Brandy.
It's nice to see you again. And so I understand that you're teaching this year at Festival of Quilts.
I am. It's my first time here teaching in Houston, and it's been great so far.
Oh my gosh, tell us all about your classes.
Okay, so yesterday I taught tiny foundation paper piecing, and we made these adorable little lapel pins.
So cute.
And students did great. Some of them were first-time paper piecers, and they almost all left with a finished pin, so that was good. And I taught improvisational English paper piecing.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And some first-time EPPers in
that
class. So
when you're saying improvisational EPP, are you saying they make their own shapes?
They do.
Oh, and then they just
We start with a full sheet of cardstock, and they draw whatever they want.
Fun.
Number it, take a picture of it, cut it apart, base fabric around it, sew it back together.
Oh, that sounds like
it was
so
really
much fun. So your experience has been awesome so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and I did a lecture today.
What was your lecture about?
English paper piecing versus foundation paper piecing.
Oh.
It's like a competition. I call it the showdown.
Yeah.
There are 11 rounds of head-to-head competition between an English paper pieced quilt and a foundation paper pieced quilt. And for the second time ever, EPP won today.
Oh.
I was so excited. I've been working so hard on the EPP side to kind of even that out a little bit. So
that is
awesome.
so fun, because not only sometimes are people confused between the two, it's nice to demonstrate what they are, but then pit them against each other for fun, right?
Yeah.
Great. Well, what a great idea.
And 2 more classes tomorrow.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
So if people are watching right now on YouTube, or they're listening to the podcast and they're thinking, these sound like great classes, great topics, where can they find you online?
I'm at Seaside Stitches on Instagram, and my link tree is there, so that's the best place.
Awesome.
And seaside-stitches.com.
Okay, great. Well, that's where they can find you online. Well, thank you for stopping by the podcast
Great to see you.
lounge today. Great to see you too. I am so excited. Guess who I have in the podcast lounge? This is Karen K. Buckley. And I'm telling you, we had such a great podcast episode. It was so fun to record. It was so nice to hear your story. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for asking me. It was for me really interesting, because I had to go back through my history, like things I forgot about.
We talked about everything.
Yeah, and it was like it was fun for you to make me go back and do that.
I know, and it was a longer episode than we usually do, but we had to talk about every single quilt. I was just adamant. I needed to hear the stories behind the quilts, and it was so nice to hear. But there's one key thing that was really good, and this is about taking a look back at your accomplishments and celebrating. So tell us a little bit about the wall that you have that has the covers of the magazines on it.
Oh yes, I do. Well, over the years, as I accumulated a few different quilt magazines where my quilt was used on the cover, I just shoved them on a shelf. I mean, they were just stacked on. I had them all in one place, but just kind of shoved on a shelf. And then one day I thought, you know what? This is like a really big accomplishment to have that. And so I took them, and then as more came about, I kept adding on. But I went in and had each one framed individually, so just from the cover, and they're all framed like on a black mat with a black metal frame. So they hang all on the wall. So I look at that every time before I walk into my studio.
It's such a great idea, because we don't celebrate ourselves enough, right?
Because I kept hiding them like on the shelf,
tucking
and then
them
I
away.
thought, I really should enjoy this.
Yeah, and it actually reminds me, like, if I'm ever in a magazine or anything like that, I tuck it away and put it on the shelf. But I was at this show in Houston this week, and a friend came up to me, and she had cut all the pages of a magazine out that I was in and handed them to me in case I'm not keeping them for myself, because she wanted me to celebrate myself.
And a cool thing to do.
I know, isn't that a sweet idea?
That was a nice gift for her to do for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I want to talk about something really special, because Karen, you were a juror for the International Quilt Festival. So what is that like?
Yes, well, they asked me if I would be interested in being a juror, and I thought, okay, I've never done that before. I mean, I've judged many times before, but I had never been a juror. And I thought, I'm kind of intrigued. I understand a bit of the concept of how this worked, but so there were 3 of us, and we were sent within a time frame, and I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was like a week. And we had to go through just individually, not talking to each other, and sort of say yes or no.
Every single photo.
So you got a full shot of the quilt. So photography is extremely important.
I bet.
And a close-up shot. But then we could actually zoom in. So we could even see it a little bit closer to really get in and see what it looked like. And then after we went through that step, then we still needed to kind of, like, sometimes I guess some groups could maybe be finished at that stage, because they're looking to hang whatever the number was, X amount of quilts
in each category.
And so they came back and said to us, okay, we needed to do a little more work. And then we kind of just emailed a little bit back and forth between the 3 of us, so that we could kind of just work through a few of them.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to me because for the majority of the quilts, we just agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, there was all of us were on the same.
It was plain to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. What an honor to be chosen as a juror. First of all, a difficult job, and it's really nice to just be so deeply involved in the show, right? So, what else are you doing? Are you here just to enjoy the show then?
Well, yes, but I decided to take some classes.
Oh, good.
And so I did a class this morning, and we were doing things with, I'm not sure I'm saying the word right, Sukaneko.
Oh, Sukaneko inks. Yeah, oh, fun.
And I haven't really done much of anything with that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of an interesting process.
Yeah.
And the class was very detailed work.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked it, and I thought it was interesting, and I thought everything to me that I learned, because I don't know everything, there's so many more things to learn out there, that the opportunity at this show, because there's so many different teachers and different styles and different ideas, that I sometimes don't do something with it immediately, but then it's like in my head, I know how to do it, so then when all of a sudden I'll come into a project and I think, oh, I remember taking a class on that. Now I'm going to go back and maybe I can incorporate that into this project.
I can just imagine a teacher in a classroom and Karen K. Buckley walks in the classroom. They must have been mortified. They must have been thinking, okay, we know her for her scissors, we know her for her perfect circles, and now she's walking into my classroom.
Well, I never thought of that, to be very honest with you, but yes, that has been mentioned.
Yeah.
But when I have to tell you something that happened. So the first class that I took, a friend of mine from home was in the class. We didn't know each other was going to be in the class, so we sat together. And we were the second table from the back of the room. So there's two ladies behind us.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there kind of just chatting before class started. And this woman behind me said, I left my Karen K. Buckley scissors at home. And I turned around and right in her face, and I said, why would you do that? I thought she said it because she knew it was me.
Oh, she was joking.
She had no idea who I was.
That's so funny.
And I said, excuse me, but I would like to introduce myself. My name is Karen K. Buckley, and I really don't understand why you left your scissors at home.
Did her face go white? Oh, that is a really
we
sweet
became
story.
fast friends in class.
Oh, nice.
We were her table mate. We were all kind of joking back and forth the whole day, which was really sweet.
Yeah, well, it's so nice that you're coming to this show and you're able to enjoy some of the classes.
Oh,
Have you been to the big show yet?
Yes, I'm almost through walking the quilt. Sometimes I have to do that in break
sections.
It up. Like I'll do some, and then I get a little overwhelmed, and then I think, okay, now I just need to come do the vendors for a while.
Yeah,
Then I'll go back and do more quilts. So I only have the last 2 rows to finish with the quilts. But it's just every year I come here, I think to myself, it can't get any better.
Yeah.
Well, and then it does.
Yeah.
I mean, then you see things you think, wow, what a cool concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or what an interesting quilt. Or like the best of show.
Yes, a miniature.
Yes.
Who would have known? Yeah.
Well, you would.
It just doesn't usually happen.
No.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
It's well deserved.
Oh yes, what a beautiful quilt. Yeah.
But just that's what I mean. You think, wow, I think you've seen it all, and then no, you have not.
Yeah. So if you're interested in seeing those quilts that are the winners, I did an Instagram live this morning of all the master winners, the master award winners, and the best in show. So you can go back and check that out. And make sure you go and listen to the most recent episode of the podcast, because we have Karen K. Buckley herself, and it's a wonderful long 3-hour episode. So much to listen to. You could do it on a walk while you're quilting or anything. So Karen, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge.
I was happy to stop by and say hello.
Oh, it's so nice to see you again in person. I am so excited. I have someone very special in the podcast lounge today. We have Melanie Jasmine. Now, you are a superstar in the cosplay world.
Oh,
so tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh, where do I start? So I live in Dallas, Texas, and I travel all across the U.S. teaching workshops and guesting as a cosplayer and attending conventions just in general. I just like traveling. So this is like a good job. Like if you like traveling and just meeting new places, new people, this is what you get to do. What else? I have won contests, cosplay contests, best in show across the U.S.
Wow.
And I'm a designer, so I have been, lately I have been doing a lot of original designs.
Yeah.
So going a little bit over cosplay, which is making a costume based on somebody else's design, into creating my own designs and then bringing them to life.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about your style? Like, what is your jam?
My jam is video game inspired costumes.
Oh, neat.
Yes, like think Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends. I love video game inspired, just like the aesthetic, because they look so shiny, they look unreal, they look crazy. So that's what I love doing, bringing to life things that you wouldn't think you will be able to bring to life. And when I'm in full costume, I like looking like I just straight up popped out of a video game. With the textures, the vinyls, and all the fun stuff.
And I understand that you sometimes work with other people together to collaborate. So what kind of collaborations have you done?
So I have worked with voice actors from the Overwatch video game. So Sombra, I dress her up as her rhyme skin, and her normal outfit, we call it the default outfit, it's just like the normal purple outfit for Sombra, and also Symmetra. We've done some skins with her. I also dressed up Lucy Paul, she's another actress. And fun fact, she is the voice for Kim Kardashian in German.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's hilarious.
That's so neat.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, she started doing it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that doesn't sound like you at all. Because she has like the Valley accent, you know, the California accent, but in German. Craziest thing I've ever heard.
Oh,
so
funny.
Yeah, so but she also does Mercy in Overwatch, so it's like day and night character-wise. So yeah, I've done all that, and dressing. I've done some stuff for Hulu. I did some plushies for Into the Dark too. So all of the plushies that you see on screen and everything that's broken, the parts, I did all that. Yeah, they actually asked me to ship them some plushies completed and some others in pieces, so that they can add them around the set, because there's a scene where they just find parts and they burn them down. So they didn't want to burn the actual dolls, so they asked me for parts, and then they burned them.
Oh,
that's how they do it.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So you mentioned a little earlier award-winning, you know, some of the things you've done. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the latest one is I got third place at the Dia de los Muertos Catrina in downtown Dallas. And there was a Catrina contest. So I made an original papel picado dress, and it was huge. I can show you later some photos. And yeah, that one took third place, and the competition was insane. Like, we're talking about people who work like 1 year, an entire year, just making one costume for these competitions. So just the fact that I even placed, I was like, oh my gosh, really? So I did it, and I made mine in 2 weeks. So I was like, I didn't even think I would place or anything. I was just going there for the culture.
Well, you put so much work into it, and how did it feel when you found out the results?
Well, it was very funny. They just called us on stage and they were like, okay, you win. And we're like, okay, that was cool. But yeah, no, it felt amazing because I had to fight with the felt. So I made, how can I explain? It's a very weird process. So I ordered a bunch of papel picado flags, and these were made out of felt.
Okay.
So I had to attach over 100 yards of them so that I could ruffle them. So I had to attach them all in a string and then ruffle them, you know. But the issue is that, you know how papel picado has so many little holes? They kept catching on every single part of my sewing machine. So everything, so every single time I was ruffling, I will hear a machine going, ee, and it will be something got caught somewhere, because it's kind of like sewing a net material. So that I did have to fight my machine a little bit, but I know it was because of the material. Other than that, it felt amazing to win, and everybody seemed to love it, and it was all happiness all around.
It was a labor of love, right?
It really was. It really was. Oh my gosh.
Okay. So if people are watching YouTube right now, or they're listening to the podcast, and they want to get in touch with you or find out where you are online, where can they go?
So they can find me on Instagram at mjasmine.design. That is M as in mom, Jasmine as in Princess Jasmine .design. I'm there the most, and I post on my stories constantly. So if they want to find me, like I'm here at the quilt show, then that's where you will find me. You'll be like, oh yeah, she's right there. So that's how you can actually find me.
Oh, great. Well, it's so nice to meet you in person. Congratulations on all your success. And thank you so much for stopping by the podcast lounge.
Oh, of course. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so excited to have a youth quilter in the podcast lounge. So, what's your name?
Haley.
Haley, it's really nice to meet you. And I understand that you have a quilt in the show.
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me all about it?
Well, I started quilting when I was 10, and I started off with a jelly roll quilt. And then I decided that the next year I wanted to go bigger. So I had this quilt at my grandparents' house that I really liked the pattern of, that my mom made when it was her very first quilt. So I decided I was going to make that pattern. And so I love giraffes. Giraffes are my favorite thing ever. So I decided, you know what, we're going to make a giraffe quilt. And that's how I ended up making my giraffe quilt. And I went to the quilt store, I bought all of my fabric, and made my quilts.
Wow, so your first quilt was a jelly roll quilt at
Yes.
10 years old. So how old are you now?
13.
And how did it feel to find out that your quilt is in the show?
I was super duper excited. I was like, oh my goodness.
Did you go and have pictures in front of it?
Oh yes,
like that?
yes I did.
So were any people milling around looking at the quilt when you were over there?
There were.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, it's my quilt.
Yeah, and so what else have you done at the show?
This show, I came here like today,
Oh,
so I
okay.
haven't done a lot. I've kind of just gone through, seen all the other exhibits and the vendors. I really liked some of the quilts. I thought they were very interesting. Got some inspiration for next year.
Oh, that's great. So tell me a little bit more about your draft quilt. So it's the one hanging in the show, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so when you got started, did you have a lot of help from people figuring out what to do, or did you decide on everything?
My mom worked at a quilt store, so I kind of went in with her at work, and there were people who helped me figure out my fabric.
That's so
And
great.
I told them, I said, I want giraffes. And so I found the backing, and I made the quilt off of the backing.
Oh, nice. And so what's your choice of colors? What are your favorite colors that you like to work with?
I like to work with blues because I love blues so much, but I also like to work with pinks and purples.
And where do you live in the world?
Well, right now I'm living in Florida, but I just moved from Texas.
Well, it's so exciting that you got to come to the show this time,
Yes,
especially
I'm
since your
super
quilt is in.
excited.
So who are you here with?
I'm here with my dad, my mom, my aunt, and my grandma.
Oh, well, what a fun trip. Well, congratulations for having a quilt in the
Thank
show.
you.
And thank you so much for stopping by the
You're
podcast
welcome.
lounge.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hi, my name is Clem Busick. It's Clementine Busick. And I'm standing in front of a quilt that Beth Newfer, my partner, made the quilt and sent it to me, and I quilted it. And she does amazing, amazing work. Beth could not be here, so I'm representing us both. And we were fortunate enough to get a first place placement in the Houston Quilt Show, which is amazing, and I'm humbled. Beth makes her quilts one of a kind on graph paper, and then she will send it to me, and I just quilt it however I want. She never tells me what to do, and so I just have fun with it, and I can always do, she's got the most amazing dimension, so I just try to enhance the dimension on them, and she's just an amazing partner and a friend, and I'm honored to be here.
So do you guys live in nearby?
No, she lives on the cliff of the ocean in Oregon, and I live in the middle of the wheat field in North Dakota. Okay. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. She saw a quilt that I had done for somebody else in a show in California, and sought me out, and I couldn't believe she called me to ask. Yeah, it was crazy.
Tell us a little bit about how you choose your designs for certain areas.
Yeah, well, I always, Beth's quilt, this one especially, is so dimensional that I wanted to make it look even more dimensional. So I wanted to make it look like it was, being drawn in. These floating blocks, you can tell even before they're quilted that they're the bottom and the sides and the outside. But by quilting them like that, it made it even look more boxy. And so it kind of goes with that. I like to take a straight line part of it and then put a round next to it, because then they bounce off each other and they show more. And do the channels. I really like that neat, crisp, clean. It just pops things out more. And I always use one layer of wool. I know a lot of people use really 2 layers, and I've tried that, and it's like quilting a marshmallow, and I feel that 1 layer of wool is just fine. So I just have a lot of fun, and I'm honored that I can do this, and how fun it is to be here in Houston.
I am here, and I have found Pauline's Quilters World. So Pauline, tell us your name and a little bit about your business.
Okay, I'm Pauline Rogers, and I'm from a little place in Queensland, Australia called Kabala, which is just outside Toowoomba, which is an hour and a half west of Brisbane.
The first time that I met you, I was very excited to meet you. It was in Australia.
Australia at the AQC,
Yeah,
yes.
you showed me all kinds of fun things on the machine that you're doing. So tell me a little bit about what you're featuring this year at International.
Well, I've developed a whole system which we've based on the KISS system, keep it simple. We're not stupid. So it's actually KISS with a Q. Quilting is so simple.
Oh, great. Right.
So what we do is we make all of our quilts quilt as you go. So we're teaching people how to convert a regular quilt. If they can't quilt a large quilt on their domestic machine, we've got the answer. So we teach people to quilt with their feed dogs up and their stitch length set, and I've found an adjustment on your sewing machine to make you a perfect quilter immediately. So we quilt one block at a time and then we join it together into a quilt as you go quilt. So here at Quilt Festival, we've released this as a free online lesson for everybody in the world that wants to learn how we quilt without free motion quilting, even though it looks like free motion quilting, it's not. And then how to join it together using different techniques to be able to teach them how to look at a quilt pattern and turn it into a quilt as you go quilt. So that's what we're doing. We've had whole big kits here with everything in it. We've got them on a show special, but we would love everybody to go to pqw.com.au, register, put your name and email address on, then we'll let you know that you're ready to register and do the free online course with us.
Wonderful.
Free to the world.
Free to the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit
My
of your story.
pleasure. My great pleasure.
Hi, my name is Jan, and I'm in the So Powerful booth at the Houston Quilt Festival, and we're having a phenomenal show here. And So Powerful exhibits every year at the Houston Quilt Festival. We're here to find people who sew and who might have a fabric stash. And the purses you see on the wall are here for inspiration. They're not for sale. We're looking for people who can join us in making these purses because we're a nonprofit working to combat extreme poverty in the African countries of Zambia and South Africa. So if you can sew and you would like a free pattern, go to our website, sopowerful.org, download the pattern, ship the purse to us, and we'll send it to Zambia and South Africa. Over there, we will hire indigent women. We'll teach them to sew, and they will make reusable pads, soap, and underwear, and those items go in the purses made by our volunteers, and then schoolgirls, like you see in this photo, will get the purse so that she can stay in school. And I want to give a shout out to Oliso because we just completed our annual sew-a-thon, and Oliso was one of our great sponsors, and they donated irons, and our people were so excited to compete to win one of the irons. And in the middle of the sew-a-thon, my cheapo iron died, and I said, well, wait a minute, I'm going to buy an Oliso iron. So I bought the pink iron, and I love it. So thank you to Oliso for your support of our sew-a-thon.
Okay, so just tell us one more time, where can we find you on the website and Instagram?
You can find So Powerful on the website at sopowerful.org or on Instagram at So Powerful.
Okay, I am here in my girlfriend's quilt shop, and you might be watching this right now, and you might be thinking, oh, she's had Kim Christopherson on the podcast before, but this is not Kim.
Nope.
This is her sister, Chris. Hi, Chris. It's
Hi,
so nice to meet you.
Welcome.
So you are in the quilting world as well.
Yes,
same
industry.
Both
Yeah.
you and your sister are well known for a show that you used to do, right?
Yes,
Together?
yes.
So what was the name of that show?
It was called the DIY Dish.
The DIY
Yeah,
Dish.
that takes us back. If anyone remembers that, that's been a while ago.
Yeah, and you guys are so popular there.
Aw.
So tell me what you're doing now with your quilt shop.
Oh my goodness, we absolutely are having a blast. We've been in business for 14 years now, and it's my girlfriend's quilt shop located in Logan, Utah. However, we ship all over the country and Canada, and we are just having a great time being able to put together classes online. All of our classes are virtual, and so you can take them anytime from the comforts of your own home.
Yeah, well, tell me about a few things you're excited about featuring this year at Houston.
Well, one of the things that we love to do is when we come to a show, we've started thinking about what is a quilt that could be our feature quilt that kind of encompasses a little bit about this community. And of course, we're in Houston, right? Yeah. So it's all y'all. All y'all. So this is our focus quilt. It's pre-cut and pre-fused applique. Very, very simple. Of course, we use denim on here. Again, just that kind of rustic flair. We have it in this colorway as well as the red, white, and blue, because Texans really love their red, white, and blue as well. So the all you all, I did my research. It encompasses everyone. So you can't just say you all around here. It's all you all because it's everyone.
And you also have some really great mugs as well.
Yes, we did the same thing here. So we've got the quilt block with all you all, and then my girlfriend's quilt shop, and we have them in different colors, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, so tell us about some of the other things you're featuring. You're looking at the holidays.
Yes, definitely. So one of the things that's been really popular at this show is our hot cocoa mini bar. So here's a little mini quilt. You can do the shapes, again, are pre-cut and pre-fused applique. So we sell that as a kit, as well as the little stand that it goes onto. Another thing that kind of goes perfectly with your little hot cocoa mini bar is a banner that says Toasty, and the O is a marshmallow. And we have this for both sewing machine and embroidery machines, so it encompasses both of those. And another popular item has been doing the tumbler quilts, which is, or tumbler table runner, I should say. Super fast and easy. The tumbler is all been pre-cut, so it's going to be super fast. So that entire thing, as soon as you get it, you just sew it. That's it. You don't, no cutting at all. So those have been really popular. We are just, let's come over to Merry Christmas, y'all.
Sure.
Okay, right here.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
That's done on the embroidery machine. And so we have kits for that. It's been kind of fun. And let's see, just a whole bunch of stuff. Of course, we've got to, think about Christmas is just right around the corner. So we have Quilty Little Christmas from Kimberbell. And this, when you buy the kit, it will actually make 4 different quilts. Front, back, binding, all of it's in there, and super fun for the holidays. In fact, the book also includes some printables that you can frame in there. So Merry, Merry, Merry stitching. You've got the little gingerbread girl, and then right down here you can see the quilt block that is right down there. So all of that's included in the book as well. We have thread kits, so everything you need.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a little bit about where we can find you online. If people are watching right now,
Oh
and
my
they're
gosh.
thinking, I've got to get a hold of
Yes, yes, we would love for you to come visit us at mygirlfriendsquiltshop.com. Don't forget, shop is spelled with 2 P's and an E, so SHOPPE. We have live sales every Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, as well as live sales every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And then one other thing that you might be interested in is we have a program that is called 3 Things at 3. And it is a daily show, Monday through Thursday. It's at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. On our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. But if you can't make it live, it's all recorded. You can watch it anytime. The really cool thing about this program is that it is more of a lifestyle show. So we focus on everything about the quilter. So we like to say it's not just about quilting, but it's about the quilter, it's about the whole person. And so one of the things that we do is, like last week, we had a physical therapist on who talked to us about exercises we could do because, us as quilters, we're always at our sewing machine, we're hunched over, our necks are out here, and we start to get those aches and pains. So we had the physical therapist on with us. We also talked about mental health for the quilter, and we interviewed a licensed therapist who talked to us about things like anxiety and depression, and again, how using your talents or enjoying a hobby can bring joy into your life. And so, we also have daily tutorials. We have on the 3 at 3 programs. So it just is all encompassing for people who are watching, and it's kind of exciting. So we'd love for you to join us for that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a wonderful community program.
Thank you.
And
It
tell
is.
us, where can we find you on Instagram if people want to
Okay.
get connected?
Yeah, on Instagram, My Girlfriend's Quilt Shop. SHOPPE. That's where you'll find us and see everything that's going on.
Well, thank you so much,
You're
Chris,
welcome.
for sharing a little bit of your story.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so we are here at International Quilt Festival in Houston.
Yes.
And we're in front of a quilt by Andrew Lee, just so that you know who the amazing creator is. Of course, I picked a firefighter quilt because I'm a firefighter. But I'm here with Bob Ruggiero and Krista Parker, right?
Yes.
And so I'm so happy to meet you guys. Thank you. I know Bob from years past, but it's nice to meet you.
You still owe me money, Brandy, by the way,
I
so I'm waiting for you to pay up.
That's right.
Quilter in debt is more like it. So.
I have so much fun at this show every year. But we want to know a little bit about the details behind the show. So Bob, can you tell us, this show happens every fall. Can you tell us a little bit of detail about the show?
Sure. Well, International Quilt Festival is the largest quilt show in the world. This is our 50th anniversary year. And the show's kind of like a three-pronged stool. We have over 275 classes and lectures going on upstairs, 600 booths to shop from, and over 1,225 quilts on display, from antiques to contemporary to modern, something for everyone.
Wow. And the first year I came here, I tried to interview a lot of the teachers, the faculty.
Right.
And I got to about 48 of them, and then I think I dropped from exhaustion. But they were so great. They were happy to say hello on camera, and it was nice to meet them. So can you tell us a little bit, Krista, about some of the special exhibits that you have every year?
Well, we have 7 what we call our classic calls. So those are always going to be in full bloom, in the American tradition, hands all around, tactile architecture, landscape quilting, celebrate life, which came to us after 2020, and also modern quilts, a twist on tradition, which is a play on the antique quilts from in the American tradition with a modern twist. And so those are all our calls, something like what you would do with your guilds. And then we have all our curated exhibits, which we have a lot of beautiful exhibits this year. Tales from Africa, we have Paula Nadelstern. Silent Legacies is here this year. Sacred Threads. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting so many beautiful exhibits. The Sakwa is always here, and their camouflage quilts are here. Premiering with us here at the show. Absolutely beautiful.
And one of the wonderful things about those exhibits is there are people here who are affiliated with them, right? Like Paula Nadelstern, for instance. She's standing there, you can literally ask her about the details of her quilt. So it's so nice. So can you tell us a little bit more about what, if you have a first-time person coming to the show, what are a couple of tips that would be great for them to know?
Well, Bob?
Number 1 tip, wear comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes.
Ladies, comfortable shoes here at the show. Very important, because you'll be doing a lot of walking.
And they're looking at you in the eye, not at your feet. So don't worry about your outfit. You can look cute up here, the shoes don't matter.
Okay, so and if people are thinking they want to register for classes or buy tickets for the show, what are some tips there? Should they get on the website real early, or?
Sure, the classes are on a first-come, first-served basis, and all of the enrollment is online. But you can buy daily admission tickets both online and at the show door here.
Yeah, so great. Okay, so if people are watching this YouTube video or they're listening to the Quilter on Fire podcast, where can they go to a website to find out more about the International Quilt Festival?
Very easy. www.quilts.com.
Okay, great. One more thing, if we want to find you on social media, where should we go?
At Quilt Festival or hashtag Quilt Festival. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads.
Wonderful.
And we have a YouTube channel as well.
Oh, YouTube as well. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of the story about International Quilt Festival today.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you, Brandy, for coming all the way from Canada to Houston.